everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is I've Got Your Number and I'm Tracy Vertucci. I want to send a special thanks to Awakened Starseed for sending me new subscribers and welcome new subscribers. Okay, so sorry, it's been a while since I've posted. Working, and then not being inspired by anything. I need a new story. So I've decided that we're going to start a new series on women who kill. So that's what's coming up. We're going to do part 1, Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander. Stay tuned. So when we decided to come to this planet, we were given this special gift, and that gift is to learn what we need to know about ourselves through our relationships with others. I don't know how many of you have been in this type of a situation where it's not ideal and you refuse to see it for what it is, but Jodi Arias has a tremendous amount of 7s. And those 7s have trust issues and betrayal issues. And so whatever numbers that you mix with it, if it's worked negatively, their mind can create all sorts of crazy things. So Jodi Arias is a 34/7 life lesson. She's a 27/9 soul. She's a 25/7 outer personality, and she's a 52/7 path of destiny. That's a lot of 7s. So here's how we break it down. If there's something about us that we need to learn, we're going to attract that person into our life that's going to bring us that lesson so that we can grow as souls. That's kind of the way this works, okay? So you've got Travis, who is a 59, which is a 5 life lesson, getting together with a 34/7. Now, 5s need freedom, they need discipline, but they will sometimes bounce from person to person, until they find, or have something in their back pocket just in case this one here falls off the grid. Now, with a 7, when you pull away from a 7, and especially someone who's got that 27/9 soul, you pull away from a 7, they're going to lunge forward. And with her, she just kept shifting her stance, whatever it was that she needed to do in order to attract him. She already knew from the start that he didn't respect her. He didn't plan on being with her. He didn't want anybody to know they were together. This is not ideal. Now, if you ever find yourself in this type of a situation, this is not ideal. This means that no matter how many times you shift your stance, you change your religion, you do whatever it is that you do, it's not going to change this person. They're not suddenly going to respect you and want to be with you. He made that very clear from the start. And honestly, his soul number's a 37/1, and 37s can be a little rough on the soul. Because they don't show themselves, they'll tell you what you want to hear. They're really self-involved. So you get this 37 with the 29, and it's going to create, not a 29, 27, it's going to create the same crap. It's just going to reflect back. So he's not showing himself to her on a heart level. So she's changing who she is to try to reach out to him. And this starts this really horrible back and forth psychotic relationship. And this is what these two had. Now let's take a little peek into Travis's psyche. Like I said, he's a 59, which is a 5 life lesson. He's a 37/1 soul. He's a 61/7 outer personality, how he expresses, and his path of destiny is a 98, which breaks down to an 8. Now, these 9s with him, the 9 needs integrity, they need wisdom, they have to practice what they preach. But that's in direct conflict with his 5 that wants new experiences, new things, new people, new relationships. So he would put up this front that he was this very spiritual person, Mormon, not going to have sex before marriage, but yet he is. So therefore, he's being a little bit hypocritical. And so when that 9 is fighting with the 5, it's this internal struggle all the time of, well, I'm saying this, but I'm actually doing this, and they're in conflict. And with his path of destiny being a 98, the 8 wants money, power, abundance, and the 9 wants to be more humanitarian and help people. So he was a very charismatic public speaker. He was a motivational speaker for his company. So, and he showed great confidence when he did that. And I can see where that would probably attract somebody like Jodi, because she wants that. She wants that, but at the same time, she's afraid of it. So think about sometimes when we go after something that we want, and the very thing that attracts us to that person is the thing that scares us the most. So his charisma, she was threatened by. His power that he had on stage, his ability to attract people. This threatened her, but instead of her saying, maybe I don't want this, and walk away, she digs her heels in. Even though he's mistreating her, for her it's all about the win. So she wants to win this guy. However, she never won him at all. And, can I tell you this? When somebody starts slashing your tires, not once, but twice, we don't go back. Not for sex, not for anything. You just don't go back. These things don't get better. It only gets worse. And as this relationship would evolve, they only lasted for 4 months, but then when they broke up, she moves to Arizona to be with him or by him. So she can spy on him, she can control him, she can hack into his accounts, she can terrorize his girlfriends, slash his tires. This, I don't care how joyous your sex life is. It's not worth that. Okay, I don't know if he thought she was the only one that was going to be a freak like what he wanted, and so he kept her around. But this was an addiction from both of them. They were both addicted to each other in all the wrong ways. However, Jodi was playing for keeps, and she really thought she was going to win over his affection. And I think she's such a liar, and she just lies effortlessly. And when you're able to do that, pathologically lie, you eventually believe your own lies. So you're going to tell yourself, he's going to want to be with me, he's going to want to marry me. And when he acts out differently, you just block it out. I don't hear it. I don't want to hear it. And this girl was a complete psychopath. Now, what's going on with him? He keeps her around like a little toy. All the while, he's looking for his wife. He wants a wife, and she's not it. So at some point, this builds and builds, and she has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and she uses her mental faculties to think her way through everything, but it's a losing game. So when I listen to her police interview, it's just one lie on top of another lie on top of another lie, and she creates the story as she goes. This is how I think she creates things through this relationship. She's created whatever scenario she needed to make it look like they were going to be together. And finally, eventually that burst, but she did premeditate this. I don't care what she says. She staged a break-in at her grandmother's house where a gun goes missing, so she ends up with the gun. This was all premeditated. Why did she need a gun? She didn't. Then she gets the gas cans in California, fills up the gas cans, and apparently she got to Salt Lake City and did that. I'm not sure. Not just 2 gas cans, but 3 gas cans. That way there's no paper trail of her making this trip. Then she shows up, and for whatever reason, they have to get right back into all this negative shit. But the trigger for her was that he was going to take another girl on their trip to Cancun. And I think at some point she snapped. Now, when you listen to her talk, it's like, oh, I was really happy for him that he met somebody, this and that. No, she wasn't. She wanted to fucking end this person. And that's exactly what she did. So I'm going to take a look at the days. When we put their life lessons together, they create a 93, which is a 12, hanged man. It's never really a good one. Then their soul combination is a 64-1. That's the 10 of swords. So whenever you create a 64 with somebody, it typically doesn't end well. Their destiny numbers were a 150. That's a 6. So that's basically just devil energy. It just was not ever going to be good for them. They were always going to be criticizing each other. They were always going to be wanting something to be different. It was never going to work. Non-acceptance of a situation is what that is. And then how they expressed was as an 86, which is a 14. So that means that there's power struggles going on. One person is seeing the relationship through rose-colored glasses and seeing what they want to see, all the while ignoring what's going on. And the only way that this relationship can work as a 5 would be if she did her own thing, he did his own thing, and when they decided to be together, they'd be together. But she was playing for keeps, and it's just all this fear of losing. Her 52-7 path of destiny is the Queen of Swords. So you get that betrayed woman, the divorcee, the widow. She'll stop at nothing to win, and this is about winning. I don't think it was anything to do with him or them. It was about winning, because he broke her down. He broke down her confidence, and she thought she could, develop this outer package that was going to work. And he's like, nope, that's not good enough. It's not good enough. You're not good enough. And I think she gives off this vibe from the start that I don't care what color her hair is or how mousy she looks with her little glasses. She gives off a vibe no matter who she talks to. And she's very caught up in her appearances, as you can tell when she's doing TV interviews. Makeup always has to be right. The chick is crazy. So let's go back a little bit to when they met. They met September of 2006. Neither of them had had a birthday yet, so they're still running with their 2005 vibration. Jodi is in a 24, which is a 6. That's your Queen of Wands energy. And Travis is he's in a 43-7. That's the eat, drink, be merry. Having a good time. He's at a convention. I'm sure he's speaking there, big energy, kind of in his element. So here comes Jodi in trying to be Miss Polly Perfect and be everything that she thinks he wants. Okay? Well, you add those two together and they create a 67, and 67, 6 plus 7 is 13. It's going to be the Death card, the transformation. Now, knowing that, you can always, avoid certain situations, but that was the general theme of their personal years when they met. Oh, I misspoke, because in 2006, they were already in their 2006 vibration, because it was now September, so both of them had already had a birthday. Okay, now, they only lasted for 4 months after they started dating, so they broke up on February 2nd. Chad was in a 44, Jodi's in a 28-1. Those two numbers together create a 72, okay, which is an ending vibration. This is a 9. So this means I'm not going to put anything down for you to be able to pick something up. It's very miserly, it's very possessive. So in other words, he can break up with her, but she's not having that. So she moves towards him to make sure that she can join forces with him. So you've got this 2 of Wands energy moving towards this 4 of Cups energy, which those don't go together either. So he's apathetic. He's really not interested in her. It's not going anywhere. It's preventing him from finding what it is that he wants. So they break up, but yet still continue to booty call each other. Well, every time he does that with her, it psychologically does something in her head to think that there's still a chance that she's going to be able to win him over. She can use her sexuality in order to make that happen. And so we're creating this 72 vibration. Now, this is the opposite of Jodi's 27 soul, okay? So her heart's desire is to win this person, and the brakes are getting put on. So what does she do? She moves towards him. She moves towards Arizona to be closer to him, where she starts stalking and being crazy. Okay? Now, let me double check, see if I missed anything here. Let's see, by December of that year, she's in a 31-4. She's slashing his tires, not once but twice. She starts hacking his Facebook and harassing a girlfriend. She does a lot of really crazy things. That is a red flag. It's a screaming neon lit flag, okay, that you get away from that. That's restraining order crazy. That's bunny in the pot. That's, did you guys watch the Hot Crazy Matrix? I mean, this is some serious Tiffany and Amber shit right here. No offense to Tiffany's and Amber's. So she's here. She's fighting. She is competing. She needs to win, okay? And he is going off and doing whatever it is that he does. He had a lot of girls, and he was literally interviewing them to be a future wife. That's where he was at. And she's not the wife material that he wants. So let's fast forward. Now we are in 2008. Okay. Chad. Why do I keep calling him Chad? I got Chad on my brain. Sorry, Travis. Travis is in a 44-8 personal year. So he's looking down, blasé, dissatisfied with everything that's come his way thus far, and is not seeing any gifts that are being offered to him. So he's very apathetic. Okay. Now Jodi is in, where the hell did she go? She's in a 25-7. So we've already discussed this. So she's moving towards him. Okay. He's looking down, disinterested. She's rushing forward. Okay. Now remember, she's a 52-7 path of destiny. This is a 25-7. Okay, which is the way she expresses. So she's going full on after him. Okay. And now their month, we've got, oh my gosh, in June, he's looking for his wife, and something has fallen apart where that's happening. He was interested in a girl, she wasn't interested in him back in that way. And we've got Jodi doing this, okay, in June. She's going to move in and fight for what she wants, okay? Well, when we put those two together, then that creates, let's say, A9. It creates an 81. So we're going to take all that moon paranoia and all that, turn it upside down. Creates an 81, which is endings. Okay, so this is will and power coming together and creates destruction. Now, on the 2nd of June, Jodi rents a car to make this trip to Arizona. Now, it just so happens on the 2nd of June, Travis was in a 52-7. So the Queen of Swords is coming for him at that point. Jodi's in a 33-6. Yeah, she's getting all of her plans in a row. She's very justified. She's playing the martyr, and she's going to go move in and take care of this. Okay? Now, on the day she shows up, Travis is in a 54-9, which is an ending. 9s are endings, so when someone comes to do you harm and you're in a 9, it's most likely that they're going to win. Her day is a 35. So she takes him out and then pretends to be the wounded warrior. She's the one that's the abused woman after she gets done with all of her pathological lying. These two here together create a 7 or an 89, which was Travis's path of destiny. So the day that they came together, he completed his path of destiny, and it ended him. So now from this time on starts her bullshit campaign. So she jumps in her car, splits, drives up to go see another guy in Utah, calls him, leaves him all these messages, but what you can hear when she's leaving the voicemail, she's talking a mile a minute, which is not her normal speaking pace, because anytime that you ever see her interview, she's always very calm, and it's and then she slowly answers. This time it's, I did this, and blah, 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 and fun, and blah, 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 and we'd really like for you to join us. And you can tell she's a nervous wreck on this voicemail, but nobody picks up on that she's talking at a faster pace, but I did. So now she has to go and try to cover her tracks. and pretend to be interested and pretend to care when she knows damn well what happened. And then when you watch her in her police interview, it's insanity because she's lying and lying and lying. And anytime that the cop would throw a curveball at her, she'd just compound and create a new lie. It's very Casey Anthony. And she's just pathologically lying and not accepting responsibility. And the only time you ever see her cry is when she's crying for herself. When she tells one of the reporters to, that daughters are fragile, and she starts crying because that's her, or how she didn't want Travis, their sex life, to come out because he wouldn't have wanted to be seen that way because he was very caught up in his image, even though that wasn't who he was. So she's still bashing him, and she's the victim. So the only time you'll ever see Jodi shed a tear is when she's talking about herself and about how she's lost her freedom or how she was an abused woman. And I don't see her being an abused woman. I see a lot of mental abuse, absolutely. Tons of mental abuse. Because he would tell her like it was. And she didn't want to hear it. And instead of saying, this is hurting me, I'm going to walk away and sever this because it's not good for my soul, she lunges forward because she has to win. She has to win. So therefore, sealing her fate as the Queen of Swords, really, really, really negative. So she can twist and spin it any way she wants to and make him into the bad guy. This was a destructive, horrific relationship that should never have happened. And honestly, I cannot tell people enough how when things start going south in this direction, that's best to walk away, sever ties, put a restraining order out, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you guys aren't coming back together. Because every time they come back together, that would fulfill something in her where she wasn't feeling like she was being rejected with her borderline personality. But at the same time, he was rejecting her because he was telling her she's not good enough, you'll never be with me. But this whole, I don't think he ever physically abused her. And I had bruises, but they didn't call the witness that said that I had bruises because they decided not to. Bullshit. Nobody stood up for her. She didn't have a single character witness come up and say, hey, spare her life. She's this great person. Nobody did. Because this chick has just been calculating and planning and thinking everything out. Definitely premeditated, from stealing a gun to filling gas cans to not leaving a paper trail. Everything that she did was calculated. And then she seemed so shocked that she got premeditated murder. It's like, well, of course you got that. You definitely premeditated it. As soon as he decided he was going to Mexico with somebody else, I think that was her final breaking point. And she'd been planning this for at least a month, from what I can tell. She was planning this for a while. Real cautionary tale here, guys. When it's not working, and you have got to accept that from the start, because keeping lunging forward out of that fear of rejection, that fear of betrayal, that fear of everything just brought it all about. He was never going to be that guy that she wanted him to be, ever. He was always going to use her. And it went against his heart, because he really needed to lead by example, which is why he was a public speaker. He was a 59. He needed to lead by example. He needed to be the person that he was preaching, and he wasn't, because he had this back pocket secret. So that's how things ended up. It ended up getting the best of him. And when he went into that 89, that power with that, integrity, I'm not living my word, came together, and it ended him and did complete his destiny. But lesson learned, a little too late. So that wraps up segment 1 of Women Who Kill. We're going to delve into a few more of these cases, see what's going on. I always think it's great to have knowledge of how other people tick, but honestly, you can have all of their numbers. If they're acting in a certain way, that's how they are. Okay? That's it. You don't need numbers. You don't need words. It's actions. So when somebody is screwing with you, they're psycho, they can't leave you alone, that's sign number 1. Okay, so, and this isn't the first time that I've seen this, but more stories to come. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.